Money was never meant to be worshipped. It was designed to control those who don't understand it. Most people chase money the way a chained dog chases a bone, believing that effort alone will earn them freedom. But the rich, they were taught a different story. They were never trained to earn money. They were trained to position themselves where money flows to them. From childhood, you were told to be grateful, loyal, hardworking, patient. Yet look closely. The hardest workers are rarely the wealthiest. Effort doesn't create wealth. Strategy does. This is why the poor cling to morality in money, while the rich treat money as a game of power. And in every game, it's not the righteous who win, but those who understand the rules. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He studied why kings stayed in palaces while good men begged outside their gates. He discovered that wealth follows those who dare to think beyond permission, those willing to see the world as it is, not as they were told it should be. If you're still broke, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you were conditioned to play the role that keeps others rich. And if you're ready to see what they never wanted you to learn, then don't just watch, pay attention. But first, listen carefully. If you're new to DarkPhilsy, understand something. Not everyone is ready for this level of truth. If you choose to stay, subscribe, but only if you're willing to see the world without the comforting lies you were raised with. Because once you understand what the rich truly live by, you won't be able to go back.
Law number 1. The first lie you were told about money. The lie. Work hard, be loyal, and money will reward you. This was not advice. It was indoctrination, designed to produce obedient workers, not wealthy individuals. From childhood, you were conditioned to believe that effort equals income and morality equals financial reward. But if that were true, the hardest workers would be the richest. They are not. Look around. The world is filled with exhausted, loyal, disciplined people, still struggling. The lie works because it feels honorable. It flatters your sense of virtue. It convinces you that poverty is noble and wealth must be earned through suffering. But the truth is, money does not respond to effort. It responds to leverage, positioning, and power. Effort is replaceable. Power is not. Machiavelli exposed this centuries ago. Those who rise are not the most righteous, but the most strategic. Virtue without strategy is a performance that benefits others more than yourself. The rich don't work harder. They work from higher ground. They position themselves where results multiply from their decisions, not their labor. How the rich use it? The rich teach their children the opposite of what you were taught. Don't seek jobs, create positions. Don't trade time for money. Make systems trade for you. Don't ask for permission. Move with intent. They learn early that hard work is a tool to control the masses, not a path to wealth. They acquire skills that generate leverage, influence, negotiation, ownership, access, information. A rich man does not ask, "How much will they pay me?" He asks, "How much control does this give me?" How the poor fall for it? The poor cling to the idea that effort is moral and reward will follow. So they become perfect workers, grateful, compliant, replaceable. They internalize guilt around ambition. They fear being seen as selfish, ruthless, or too focused on money, because society conditioned them to associate self-interest with evil, while the elite exercise it freely. The poor wait for recognition. The rich create outcomes. What you must do instead? Stop worshiping effort. Start worshiping impact and leverage. Your time is the most limited resource you have, so treat it like the rich do. Spend it on actions that multiply, not actions that maintain. Instead of asking, how can I work more? Ask, how can I remove myself from the work? Understand this law deeply. You were raised to serve systems. The wealthy were raised to build them. The first step to wealth is not earning more. It is unlearning the lie that effort creates riches. Because the moment you stop chasing money like a servant, you begin attracting it like someone who was never meant to be broke.
Law number 2. Wealth rewards the strategic, not the deserving. The lie. You were told life is fair, that if you're good, respectful, and patient, rewards will find you. But fairness was a story sold to keep the masses calm. The truth is this: the world does not reward goodness, it rewards alignment with power. History doesn't remember the most moral, it remembers the most strategic. And Machiavelli warned, it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But the modern rich have perfected a subtler version. They appear virtuous while quietly positioning themselves where outcomes bend in their favor. The truth is, wealth doesn't flow to those who deserve it. It flows to those who design the conditions where wealth must flow to them. A moral man waits for justice. A strategic man builds systems that make him untouchable. You may despise the arrogance of the rich, but you cannot deny their understanding of the game. They know emotions cloud decisions, and they play calmly while others react. Every move they make serves a purpose, not for today, but for years ahead. When you think in transactions, they think in positions. When you work for salary, they build equity. When you chase comfort, they chase control. They invest in influence, not validation. They sponsor politicians, not charities. They buy the stage instead of performing on it. Because the rich don't wait for luck, they manufacture inevitability. The poor fall for it. The poor believe that fairness will protect them. They wait for acknowledgement, praise, or rescue. They confuse being good with being effective. They take pride in modesty while their humility is exploited. They think morality means weakness, when in truth, morality without wisdom is just obedience with a halo. The poor resent the rich for their cold logic, but logic is exactly what protects the rich from becoming slaves to emotion. What you must do instead: stop asking if the world is fair. Start asking how it functions. Because fairness is irrelevant in the architecture of power. Those who win are not those who wait for justice, but those who understand how to move unseen through injustice. Learn to see wealth like a chessboard. Every rule you follow blindly is a move they already predicted. Machiavelli's hidden lesson was never cruelty, it was clarity. The rich see clearly that life rewards what works, not what should work. Until you accept that truth, you'll keep losing gracefully instead of winning quietly.
Law number 3. Control is the currency of the rich. The lie. You were taught that money is the ultimate form of wealth, that whoever has more of it wins. But that's only the illusion created by those who already understand something deeper. Money is just a tool for control, and control is the true currency of power. The rich do not chase dollars, they chase influence, the quiet ability to direct outcomes, people, and perception. The more control they possess, the less effort they need. Control buys time. Time builds empires. The truth. Every rich man secretly protects one thing above all else: the power to decide. He may lose money and rebuild it, but if he loses control, his empire dissolves overnight. That's why the rich don't crave attention, they crave leverage. Control means having options when others have obligations. It means dictating pace, choosing battles, and rewriting rules while others follow them. How the rich use it. They understand ownership differently than you do. You buy possessions. They buy the systems that create possessions. You rent your hours. They rent other people's time. You fear risk. They ensure influence. They delegate everything that costs them control. They own decision points, the bottlenecks of power where everything flows through them. And when they appear generous, it's never charity. It's investment disguised as virtue. Machiavelli said, "He who builds his power on the people builds on mud." The elite learn this well. They build on systems, not sympathy. They structure control like architecture, invisible, elegant, and unshakable. How the poor fall for it. The poor measure wealth by what they can see: cars, clothes, houses, validation. They don't realize that those are the decorations of control, not its source. They think power corrupts, so they reject it, never seeing that this rejection keeps them under it. They confuse control with manipulation, yet obey the systems they never created. The poor feel proud of small freedoms while living inside cages built by others. What you must do instead is stop chasing appearance, start collecting control points. Learn to say no without guilt. Own your time. Build something that moves without your constant effort. Understand that every moment of peace you crave is bought by someone's control. Money without control is modern slavery. Control without money is fragility. But when you hold both, you no longer live by permission. You live by design. That is the law the rich will never teach you, because true control cannot be inherited. It can only be claimed by those who see through the illusion of wealth itself.
Law number 4, the power of hidden intent. The lie. You were raised to be transparent, to speak your heart, show your intentions, and be honest about what you want. But open intentions are a gift to the powerful, because the moment others know your plans, they can block, mimic, sabotage, or outmaneuver you. You were taught that secrecy is deceitful, while the rich were taught that privacy is strategy. The truth is that the richest people move quietly. Their intentions are concealed under layers of neutrality, politeness, or misdirection. They never show their hunger because hunger exposes leverage. Machiavelli wrote, "A wise man does immediately what a fool does eventually, but the wise man also does it silently." The wealthy plan in shadows and execute in daylight only when the outcome is irreversible. How the rich use it. They reveal only what strengthens them, never what weakens them. They understand that clarity of intention should only exist after power is secured, so they negotiate without revealing urgency. They enter markets before announcing interest. They research opponents while appearing indifferent. They praise allies while preparing alternatives. And when they make a move, it looks effortless, as if success was natural, not engineered. How the poor fall for it. The poor expose their dreams too quickly. They announce goals before building foundations. They brag about opportunity before securing it. They seek validation instead of results. They leak their vision to people who haven't earned access to it, and then wonder why their momentum dies. Worse, they confuse speaking about success with progress itself. Talking gives the illusion of movement, while silence builds the reality of it. What you must do instead: guard your intentions until they are unbreakable. Move with calm neutrality. Speak less than necessary, not to hide, but to protect. Let people see outcomes, not blueprints. Let them witness transformation, not announcement. Let your results introduce you. Your silence will have already done the work. Your success should feel like it came out of nowhere, because power built in silence strikes with the force of inevitability. The world cannot attack what it cannot see.
Law number 5. Use relationships as capital, not comfort. The lie. You were taught that relationships are about loyalty, familiarity, and emotional security. You were told to stick with your circle, to value long-term comfort over strategic expansion. This conditioning keeps you surrounded by people who match your level, not those who elevate it. The truth is uncomfortable. Most people use relationships to feel safe, while the wealthy use relationships to grow powerful. The truth. The rich treat relationships like capital. A form of wealth as valuable as money, influence, or information. They don't befriend based on comfort, but based on alignment, access, and advantage. This does not mean they are cold or fake. It means they understand a principle the poor resist. Your network shapes your net worth, emotionally, financially, intellectually. Machiavelli observed that proximity to power creates power, and isolation breeds weakness. The rich curate their circle with intentionality. Every connection either strengthens or weakens their position, and they act accordingly. How the rich use it. They build circles that multiply opportunity. They surround themselves with ambitious minds. They convert introductions into alliances. They keep mentors close and competitors closer. They seek rooms where they are the smallest voice. The wealthy do not cling to relationships out of nostalgia. If a connection stops elevating, they create distance, without drama, without guilt. To them, a relationship is an exchange of value, insight, access, or growth. Emotional comfort is a luxury, not a foundation. How the poor fall for it. The poor remain loyal to stagnation. Their circle mocks ambition, fears change, and resents growth. So they shrink to fit in. They choose people who don't challenge them because challenge feels uncomfortable, and comfort feels like love. They cling to childhood friends, draining relatives, and small-minded social groups because leaving feels wrong. They confuse sentimentality with loyalty and sabotage their future to protect the past. Their relationships cost them more than they gain, emotionally, mentally, and financially. What you must do instead. Audit your circle with honesty, not emotion. Ask, is this person expand me or contain me? Begin shifting from relationships of comfort to relationships of alignment. Seek people who think independently, act courageously, and live intentionally. You don't need more friends, you need the right ones. Move toward those who challenge your thinking, not those who validate your excuses. Build alliances, not attachments. Invest in relationships that elevate your identity, not numb your potential. Because the rich understand one fundamental truth. You do not rise alone. You rise with or because of the people you choose to stand beside. Choose wisely, or your circle becomes your ceiling. Law number 6. Perception is more powerful than reality. The lie. You were taught to be real, stay humble, and let your work speak for itself. But the world is not moved by reality. It is moved by perception. If reality decided success, the most talented would be the most wealthy. Yet countless brilliant minds remain unseen, while average performers with powerful perception are celebrated, followed, and paid. You were conditioned to believe that showing confidence is arrogance, that presenting yourself well is superficial, that building an image is fake. Meanwhile, the rich mastered the art of appearances because perception shapes belief, and belief shapes opportunity. The truth. Reality is slow. Perception is instant. People don't investigate truth. They respond to what looks true. Influence begins with what others think you are, long before they understand who you are. Machiavelli understood. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you are. The rich craft the appearance first because they know perception opens doors reality cannot yet enter. How the rich use it. They build a reputation that precedes them. They invest in presentation, not to impress, but to position. They dress with intent. They speak with calm authority. They associate with status symbols, people, places, aesthetics. They understand the psychology of first impression and narrative. The wealthy shape how the world sees them, and the world adjusts its treatment accordingly. This is not deception, it is strategy. They reveal only what elevates perception and conceal what weakens it. Because if people believe you are valuable, you will be treated as valuable, and value becomes self-fulfilling. How the poor fall for it. The poor cling to authenticity as a shield. They brag about being real while being overlooked. They reject presentation and call it shallow, not realizing that neglecting perception is a form of self-sabotage. They mock those who elevate themselves, then envy their success. The poor wait to be recognized for who they are, instead of crafting who the world must see. They forget that in society, perception often creates reality, not the other way around. What must you do instead? Strategically shape how the world perceives you, not with lies, but with intention. Refine your communication, your presence, your narrative. Decide what people should think of you, and then behave in alignment with that identity until it becomes truth. Curate your environment, appearance, and associations to reflect the future version of you, not the current one. Because perception is the first currency of influence, and influence is the strongest leverage for wealth. The poor wait to be seen. The rich engineer visibility. You don't need to fake status, you need to signal direction. Become someone the world cannot ignore. Because once perception shifts in your favor, reality is forced to follow.
Law number 7. Never compete. Remove the competition. The lie? You were taught to compete, to fight for opportunities, to prove yourself, to be better than the rest. Competition was framed as noble, a fair arena where the best rise. But the rich know the truth. If you're competing, you're already losing. Competition is the playground built to keep the majority busy, distracted, and exhausted. The elite do not compete. They neutralize competition before it begins. The truth? Wealth accelerates when you operate in spaces where others cannot compare. The rich do not enter crowded markets. They redesign the game, reposition themselves, or shift the playing field entirely. Competition is a tax paid by those who lack strategy. Machiavelli warned rulers never to fight wars they could not manipulate in advance. The wealthy live by the same principle. They do not step on the battlefield unless the outcome is already tilted in their favor. How the rich use it. The wealthy eliminate competition by creating unique leverage others can't copy, building alliances that block rivals, positioning as the only choice, not the best choice, moving into higher value spaces where few can follow, diversifying influence so others depend on them. They do not ask, how do I win against them? But how do I make winning effortless? Because they can't compete with me at all. They monopolize niches, control resources, and create standards others must obey. They don't outperform, They outposition. How the poor fall for it? The poor waste their lives comparing, competing, proving. They fight for scraps and celebrate beating peers when they should have questioned the system that feeds them scraps in the first place. They chase validation through competition, gold stars, rankings, applause, never noticing that the reward for winning is still serving someone else's dream. They try to be better instead of becoming untouchable. Competition drains them. Comparison traps them. Envy consumes them. While they fight each other, the rich buy the arena. What you must do instead: step out of the arena entirely. Stop trying to be the best in crowded spaces. Find or build a lane so narrow, so specific, so uniquely aligned with your strength that no one else can play your game. Create leverage that cannot be replicated. Form alliances that make rivalry irrelevant. Develop skills that shift you out of comparison entirely. Do not compete for a seat at the table. Own the table or build a new one. Because the wealthy do not win competitions. They remove the need to compete. That is the Machiavellian way. Control the battlefield, and victory becomes a formality.
Law number 8. Protect your name. It's worth more than money. The lie. You were taught to protect your feelings, your pride, your comfort. But nobody told you the truth. Your name is your most valuable asset, more valuable than money, talent, or opportunity. You were encouraged to care what people think of you socially, but never taught to strategically guard your reputation as a form of capital. The rich don't protect their ego, they protect their name, because a strong name prints money long after they sleep. The truth. A reputation is a currency that multiplies without effort. Before people deal with your skills, they deal with your name. Your name can open doors your talent cannot. Your name can secure deals before a word is spoken. Your name can make people trust, fear, respect, or follow you without a single introduction. Machiavelli warned rulers that once reputation is damaged, power dissolves from the inside. The rich treat their name like a brand, guarded, reinforced, sharpened with intention. How the rich use it. They invest in credibility the way others invest in property. They understand that one strong perception can sustain them for decades. So they choose carefully what their name is associated with, distance themselves from people who erode their image, speak rarely but with impact, make their promises expensive and keep them, build mystique, not noise. A wealthy person's name becomes a signal of quality, exclusivity, intelligence, or power. They curate it, they defend it, and if someone attacks it, they respond strategically, not emotionally. They know a name can be monetized infinitely if protected, and destroyed instantly if misused. How the poor fall for it. The poor trade their name for emotional impulses. They argue publicly, expose secrets, react online, chase attention, attach themselves to gossip, drama, and petty conflict. They protect their pride instead of their reputation. They defend feelings while their name bleeds value. The poor don't realize that people are always observing, evaluating, remembering. A damaged name turns opportunities away before they even appear. They cry over being misunderstood, yet never ask what their name stands for to others. What you must do instead. Decide what your name must evoke and build toward that relentlessly. Should people associate your name with strength, intelligence, precision, integrity, power, elegance,
Strategy? Choose the identity of your name and live in alignment with it. Do not attach your name to chaos or smallness. Withdraw from drama, noise, and emotional reactions, not to be passive, but to preserve value. Speak less, deliver more. Let behavior write your reputation in bold. Your name should travel where you have never been and influence rooms you have never entered. Money can be lost and regained. A name once tarnished rarely returns whole. Guard it as if your future depends on it, because it does.
Law number 9. Money is a tool. Power is the goal. The lie. You were taught to chase money as if it were the final prize. You were told that wealth equals success, that money is the destination everyone should run toward. But the wealthy know something the poor rarely discover. Money is not the goal. It is the instrument. Money is a tool to build power, and power, once acquired, preserves and multiplies money effortlessly. The poor chase money. The rich chase what money gives: control, access, leverage, influence, freedom. The truth. Wealth without power is temporary. Power without wealth is unstable. But when the two are combined, life bends for you. Machiavelli taught rulers that stability comes not from gold, but from the capacity to command outcomes. Money is fragile when held by the powerless. It slips away through emergencies, dependence, and exploitation. But in the hands of the powerful, money becomes a weapon, shield, and architect of destiny. How the rich use it. The rich don't cling to money, they deploy it. They convert money into influence, so leaders return their calls. Information, so they see what others cannot. Access, to rooms where decisions are made. Ownership, so wealth regenerates without labor. Position, so they are insulated from loss. They buy options, not luxuries. They make money protect them, not comfort them. The rich never ask, how much does it cost? They ask, what control does this purchase give me? Because they know, money spent to maintain an image is wasted. Money spent to reshape power is an investment. How the poor fall for it. The poor treat money like a prize to display. They spend to prove worth, not to grow it. They chase comfort, validation, and symbolic success. The car, the watch, the vacation, the look wealthy lifestyle. Their money serves their emotions, not their future. The poor see power as dangerous or immoral, so they avoid it, never realizing that avoidance is the very reason they stay controlled by others. They fear being power-hungry, yet admire those who have it. What you must do instead: shift your target from income to influence. Use money to acquire power sources, skills, access, networks, ownership, autonomy. Ask yourself before every financial decision, does this increase my control over my life or decrease it? If money doesn't expand your options, it is being used incorrectly. Understand this law. Money is loud. Power is silent. Money buys attention. Power decides who receives it. The poor chase visible symbols of wealth. The rich secure invisible roots of dominance. Money is the tool. Power is the blueprint. Freedom is the result.
Law number 10. Think in decades, act in moments. The lie. You were taught to think in short cycles, months, paychecks, weekends, immediate results. You were conditioned to seek quick rewards, to value instant gratification over long-term advantage. This is how the masses are controlled, by shortening their vision until they live only for the present. Short-term thinking keeps you reactive, emotional, and easy to manipulate. The truth. The rich operate on a different timeline. They think in decades, but act with urgency in the present. They hold a long vision, but move decisively when opportunity appears. They understand that timing is a weapon. The poor wait for the right moment. The rich create it or seize it without hesitation. Machiavelli warned that opportunity is like a woman. If not seized quickly, she will belong to another. The wealthy still live by this truth. How the rich use it. They design their life with a 10 to 20-year horizon, but execute with intensity day to day. They delay gratification to amplify returns, build foundations slowly, but strike fast when leverage appears, prepare quietly while others sleep, then move before others notice. Their patience builds the stage, their action wins the scene. They never rush blindly, but when alignment appears, they do not hesitate, because hesitation is a tax the poor pay forever. How the poor fall for it. The poor think in short loops. What will this pay today? How fast can I get results? How soon will I be rewarded? They seek immediate comfort instead of eventual freedom. They start projects and abandon them for newer ones when results aren't instant. They confuse movement with progress and sabotage ideas that require time to bloom. The poor wait for motivation. The rich rely on discipline, guided by a long-term blueprint. Worst of all, the poor fear long journeys, so they never take the first step. What you must do instead. Stretch your timeline. Think in decades. Train your minds to see beyond the present moment. Ask yourself, how will this decision shape my life 5, 10, or 20 years from now? Commit to a direction long enough for momentum to form, because momentum once built carries you further than effort ever will. Move with patience in planning, but decisiveness in execution. When the door opens, walk through before it closes. When the window appears, climb before doubt pulls you back. When alignment calls, answer faster than fear can speak. The poor seek the rush of speed. The rich seek the reward of endurance. One builds a life that collapses quickly. The other builds a life that outlives them. Think in decades. Act in moments. That is how legacies, not just fortunes, are built.
Law number 11. Detach emotion from decision. The lie. You were taught to follow your heart, to let emotions guide your choices, to speak, react, buy, and commit based on how you feel in the moment. This makes you predictable, fragile, and easy to manipulate. Because whoever controls your emotions controls your decisions. When your feelings lead, someone else is driving your life. The truth. The rich do not remove emotion from life, they remove it from decision-making. Machiavelli warned rulers to be feared more than loved because love is emotional and emotion is unstable. The wealthy understand this deeply. Emotion clouds judgment, delays action, and makes people betray their own interests. So they feel fully, but decide logically. This is not coldness, it is self-protection. How the rich use it. The rich separate how they feel from what they choose. They do not invest out of excitement, quit out of fear, spend from sadness, partner from loneliness, or react when provoked. They pause before decisions, evaluate facts and long-term consequences, and choose based on strategy, not mood. They treat emotion as data, not instruction. They consult emotion, but they do not obey it. Because they know emotional decisions are expensive, financially, socially,
and mentally. How the poor fall for it. The poor make emotional decisions that sabotage their future. They buy to impress, quit when uncomfortable, trust too quickly, fall for guilt or flattery, react instead of observe. They confuse emotional intensity with truth. They think discomfort means stop, when discomfort usually means grow. Their emotions are manipulated by marketing, relationships, culture, and fear, and each emotional reaction costs them control. They are pulled like puppets by impulse, temptation, pride, and insecurity. A single moment of emotion can destroy a decade of work. What you must do instead: train yourself to feel without obeying. Before making a decision, ask, is this emotion temporary, or is this choice aligned with who I am becoming? Delay emotional decisions. Journal instead of react. Step back when triggered. Decide only when you are calm. Create a rule. No major decision within the first 24 hours of intense emotion. Emotion is part of being human, but decisions shape your life, so they must be made by your mind, not your wounds. The poor believe emotions give life meaning. The rich understand emotions give life color, but decisions give life direction. Feel deeply. Decide wisely. That is how you become unmanipulable, and how you protect your future from the storms of the present.
Law number 12. Do not demand respect. Command it. The lie. You were told to be nice, to win people over with kindness, to avoid conflict, to stay humble and hope respect will follow. But respect that must be begged for is never real. The world does not respect those who ask for recognition, only those who move in a way that makes disrespect impossible. You were conditioned to believe that earning respect is about being agreeable and liked. In truth, likability is cheap. Respect is expensive. The truth. Respect is not granted. It is recognized. And it is recognized only when your presence communicates value, strength, and self-respect before you speak. Machiavelli advised rulers not to rely on affection because affection fades. He understood that respect must be rooted in strength, discipline, and boundaries, not popularity. To command respect, you must show, not tell, who you are. How the rich use it? The wealthy command respect without raising their voice. Their standards speak for them. They never over-explain themselves. Do not tolerate disrespect, even in small forms. Keep their word rare and valuable. Maintain composure in pressure. Set boundaries without apology. They walk into a room with the energy of someone who does not need approval. And paradoxically, that is why they receive it. Their confidence is quiet, rooted, and unmistakable. They do not demand respect because their behavior leaves no room for anything else. How the poor fall for it? The poor chase respect the wrong way. Over-giving, over-explaining, oversharing, over-apologizing. They confuse people-pleasing with relationship building. They think lowering their needs will win acceptance. Instead, it signals they have no boundaries and therefore no value. They react emotionally to disrespect, which makes them look insecure. They try to prove themselves, which only confirms doubt. The poor want to be liked, not realizing that the desire to be liked destroys the possibility of being respected. What you must do instead. Respect begins with how you treat yourself. Stop explaining your worth. Stop negotiating your standards.
Stop giving access to everyone. Stop tolerating what drains your spirit. Speak less and make your words heavier. Say no without fear. Show restraint, discipline, and certainty in how you carry yourself. People must feel that mistreating you would cost them something. Not through threat, through presence. Remember, the world does not respect effort, sacrifice, or goodness. It respects strength, clarity, and self-possession. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, others rise to meet it, or they remove themselves. Both outcomes elevate your life. Do not demand respect. Become the kind of person whose mere existence commands it.
The choice that separates the rich from the rest. If you've made it here, understand this. Most people will never apply a single one of these laws. They will listen, feel inspired for a moment, and then return to the very habits that keep them powerless and poor. Not because they lack intelligence, but because truth without action changes nothing. Wealth is not gifted to the deserving. It gravitates toward the disciplined, the strategic, the self-directed, those who are willing to question the beliefs they were raised with and adopt the mindset reserved for the few. You now see what most will never see. You've been handed the laws that the rich protect through culture, conditioning, and silence. But knowing them is not the victory. Becoming them is. If you continue living by the lies you were taught about money, life will remain exactly as it is. But if you dare to shift how you think, act, and position yourself, your life will transform quietly, then suddenly. Wealth is not a miracle. It is a mindset, a posture, a strategy lived daily until power becomes your natural state. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs more people who are awake. If you're still here, you're not like the rest. Most people won't reach the end of a video like this because truth makes the unprepared uncomfortable. But you stayed, you listened, you felt the shift. That means you are ready for more. Subscribe to DarkPhilsy, but only if you are willing to keep evolving beyond the illusions that society feeds you. Here, we don't soften reality to protect feelings. We decode the shadows that shape human behavior so you can rise above the narratives built to limit you. Share this video with someone who's ready to wake up, not to motivate them, to arm them. Because knowledge only becomes power when it's passed to those who will use it. DarkPhilsy. Decode shadows, unlock wisdom, shape your life.